Let's look at Kamala Harris. She has given her, wait for it, second interview of the campaign so far. Speaking with the National Association of Black Journalists, this is how she answered a question on how to lower grocery prices.
Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country.
Is she making any sense to you, Josh?
No, that's a classic Kamala Harris word salad. You know, if I had a nickel every time she had one of those, then, you know, I would be a very, very wealthy man by now. Kamala Harris has still, to my knowledge, not done a single fully transparent interview with the American press corps. I mean, we are coming up now on two months after the bloodless coup of Joe Biden in late July, and she has literally not sat down. And the reason for that is fairly obvious, which is the fact that she is fully incapable of thinking on her feet. That was why in the last debate that we just saw against Donald Trump about a week ago or so, it feels like an eternity has passed because of the assassination attempt, but it was just over a week ago. But in that debate, we saw Kamala Harris in the opening call 20, 30 minutes. She was clearly just citing canned, pre-rehearsed lines that she had memorized herself. I mean, look, there's a lot to say about Kamala Harris. She's not exactly a public policy savant. I mean, she doesn't exactly know the finer X's and O's, the crossing of the T's, the dotting of the I's when it comes to economic policy or immigration policy or foreign policy. I mean, this is someone who, about a month after Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine in February 2022, she had a press conference where she was trying to explain the war, and she said, well, here's what you need to know about the war. Russia is a big country that invaded Ukraine, which is a smaller country. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for your astute geopolitical analysis. I probably could have enlisted my kindergarten-age cousin in order to give that one. I mean, again, this is not someone who is going to qualify for Mensa anytime soon or crush the IQ charts, but that is why the Democratic campaign is trying to hide her and just whip out all of these ridiculous canned lines about democracy, global warming, reproductive freedom, all the various other euphemisms. That's all they have to run on. They can't have her get out there and announce what her plans are for 2025 and 2026 because she has none. And to the extent that she has any plans, they're the exact same plans that have failed so miserably for the past 4 years.
And just watching her, you can really tell the difference when the way she performed at the debate compared to how she performs during interviews, because during interviews she gets her words all muddled up, but in that debate she obviously rehearsed her lines. She rehearsed them quite a few times. Now look, I didn't think there could be anyone more painful to listen to than Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, but then I heard Gwen Walz, Tim Walz's wife. Here she is.
You just show me this, turn the page, right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump.
I actually can't really watch that. It's I don't know if she realizes or not that Donald Trump's not in office. Joe Biden is the president right now, but that kind of acting, I don't even know what that was, but surely it's not helping the campaign.
Well, you know, first of all, the way that they're talking, you would be mistaken for forgetting that Donald Trump is not president right now, because they're talking about how Kamala Harris is an agent of change, how she's going to bring hope and change and all this 2008 era Barack Obama mumble jumble, how she's going to do all that. You know, they're totally ignoring that she has been the vice president of the United States for the past 4 years. It's really remarkable. However, quick aside, and one of the reasons that, all of this being said, I'm actually still cautiously optimistic, but I think Donald Trump's in good shape to win this election. The New York Times had a recent poll where they polled in the crosstabs, who do you view as the better change agent, the bigger outsider in this election? And 53%, give or take, of Americans said that Donald Trump was the change agent, the outsider. Only 25% of Americans said that Kamala Harris was. So, they're trying to gaslight us and make us forget that Kamala Harris is the active vice president and Donald Trump has not been in office for 4 years now. But apparently the American people have not forgotten, which is very much a silver lining and a cause for optimism. Gwen Walz is a lunatic left-winger, though. As her husband, Tim Walz, very much is, too. If you go back to the George Floyd riots, which started right there in Tim and Gwen Walz's backyard in May and June of 2020, that was where the national inferno began, right there in Minnesota. Back then, Gwen Walz was apparently literally encouraging the rioters. She was like shouting out of the window of her governor's mansion, if I remember the factual details correctly, to the rioters to say, go over there. She was there in the great so-called racial reckoning in America from the get-go. She was one of the leading arsonists in what became a sprawling national conflagration, a conflagration that resulted in roughly $2 billion in insurance claims worth of property damage there. These people are radical left-wingers. This is the most left-wing ticket in the modern history of the United States that very much includes Barack Obama, who was no slouch of a left-winger himself. But the Harris-Walz ticket takes this to whole new levels of far left depravity, I fear.